Hello everyone, welcome to Urbanscape, Bangalore. And in this episode, we will be looking at a very popular summer blooming plant, the Plumeria or the Frangipani. This belongs to the APOCYNACEAE family, to which a lot of white poisonous sap-oozing plants like the adeniums or oleanders belong. Though we popularly associate these plants with Southeast Asia, especially Bali, this is a native of Central America, the Caribbean, and surrounding areas. These blooms have been popularized in the Hawaiian culture as well. They have thick, mostly naked stems with leaves concentrated, mostly at the apex, and in between such bouquets of leaves, the bloom stalk arises, giving out fragrance that will titillate your tropical nostrils. Some blooms open fully and some like this don't fully open. They ooze out a white poisonous sap, so wash your hand after you handle them. If consumed in small quantities, they aren't very lethal to humans, but why take the chance anyway? Keep these away from curious pets. The leaves are tough and the flowers are leathery to touch. You get a wide array of colors. So let's look at some care tips and then talk about its propagation towards the end. Sunlight. This is a full sun-loving plant that can take partial shade as well. But if kept in deep shade, it may get leggy and not bloom as much as it would under full sun. So a fully open terrace, yard, or a south-facing balcony or patio would work too. Watering. They are drought-tolerant plants due to their succulent stems that hold water, but water every day during summer and let the soil dry between watering. Reduce watering drastically during the winter months when it is mostly dormant and the leaves reduce in numbers. These are deciduous plants that shed their leaves annually, so don't get worried if leaves shed during the winter months. Pests and diseases. Though this can get fungal diseases like the Plumeria rust, it is highly uncommon. So let's look at some common problems faced by these plants, and hands down, it is the usual suspect, the mealybugs. So to tackle this, either create an ecosystem where you encourage predatory bugs by not using chemical fertilizers, or simply use our trusted friend, the neem oil. Use this neem oil solution on the plant from head to toe thrice a week, at least until you see their population reduce. I'll add a link to the neem oil pesticide video above. Pruning. Please hold on to those secateurs and desist from pruning this plant at a whim. You will stunt its growth if you prune this frequently and heavily. Fertilizer. This can use a little bit of TLC in the form of compost, tea leaves, seaweed solution, etc. during summers. Add compost twice a month when the outside temperature becomes warm, and that would do. Now let's look at its propagation, and along with it, we will learn about the soil media. So you can easily grow this from stem cuttings. Take a long specimen like this and carefully saw it. I am using a saw here since the stem is thick and a secateur won't work. Be careful, the white sap will ooze out and you either have to wear a glove or wash your hands with soap. Do not accidentally rub your eyes. Take a cutting that has leaves in it. Even if there are no leaves, you can still take that cutting if the stem is green and has life. Take a medium-sized container proportional to the length of the cutting. You can also take a big container and grow this if you don't want to transplant the plant once it grows really big. And I have done that with these two cuttings and they are doing just fine. For the potting mix, I am using 20% compost, 60% garden soil and 20% composted coco peat. If you want, you can add sand by cutting the ratio of the garden soil in the mix. Mix well and add it until you reach 2 or 3 inches below the rim. Now the cuttings leaves can be trimmed like this to reduce water loss due to leaf transpiration. So you can see these islets. These are the nodes where new roots and leaves rise from. The cutting can be added into the soil like this and add more soil to keep it snug, and some of the bottom islets must be covered with the soil. Now you can also take a cutting, store it for 2 or 3 months and still propagate. The cuttings remain fresh for a very long time. I'm just adding this now when it's freshly cut. You can even leave it for a day or two until this portion dries. Now I'm just watering the plant with a little bit of seaweed solution to give it a good start. Keep the plant in a bright sunny location with some shade if you live in places that have harsh summers. And it is better to do this propagation during summer, which is its growing season. This can be propagated using seeds, but it is seldom done because the cutting route is super simple. In a month or so, they grow good roots and you can get a well-established plant in no time. Do not keep the cutting too wet and let the medium dry between watering. Stake it if your area is very windy. Some old Frangipani trees may lose all their leaves after years of service, so if you see no hope in reviving them, you can take a cutting from the mother plant and grow a new plant. Grow this in the ground if you want a more bushy form with some height. So folks, this is an easy plant if you have the right space, the right sunlight condition, and the eagerness to make your garden a fragrant haven that will tantalize all your senses. And with this, we've come to the end of yet another episode of Urbanscape Bangalore, and I really hope you've enjoyed this particular program. Additionally, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. The links are given below. And always remember, to grow slow is to grow well. Thank you for watching, and until we meet again, a very warm goodbye.